Alright, so we are reading r/ProRevenge. So I've only done one other video on this, and that was a while back, so I decided to, you know what, let's just do another one. So the first story is, I won over $500, I won over $5,000 for in court after a car accident that I caused? Okay, so just a little bit of info before I get into the story. Also, sorry this might get a little long, but I hope it's worth it. I, a 22-year-old male, work construction and run a few crews, and I'm a foreman because I've been working on this field since I started working summers when I was 14. That's legal in my state. With this being said, I have a lot of experience in getting paid really well. For my job, I need a truck that can pull a lot of trailers and also can get into a lot of sketchy job sites, especially in the winter. So I drive a new lifted pickup, Ford F-350. Anyways, let's get into it. About 4 months ago now, I got off work one day and really didn't feel like making dinner. So I decided to go get myself a trusty Big Mac at McDonald's. Well, after I got my order, I was going to pull out into the parking lot to drive home. And I was looking hard over to my left to see how busy the road was before I got there. Well, I wasn't paying great attention to what was happening in front of me, and I was creeping forward to someone who was in front of me was stopped and not paying attention either. I ended up barely hitting his mirror and scraping his door with my front end. I immediately reversed and hopped out and made sure the guy was okay, and apologized knowing it was my fault, and I asked him if he wanted to call the cops. Let's call him Brent. Brent says, "Nah bro, we're all good. If you just give me your insurance info, I think we can get it taken care of." I was fine with that, as there was no damage done to my truck, and it's not required to call the cops for an accident if it occurs in a private parking lot. This is relevant later. We exchange info as seems pretty cool, so I tell him to go get the damage bill, and I'll just pay in cash so my insurance rates don't go up as long as he's okay with it. He says he's fine, and we both just leave, and I feel like a moron. But all in all, Brent seems like a cool dude, and I just hope we can get it sorted out smoothly. About a month passes by, and I haven't heard anything from Brent or the shop I told him to go to. Honestly, I wasn't too stressed about this, because if he decided to not get it done, that's on him. Well, he calls me up one day about noon, saying he can't remember my name, and he wanted to tell the guys at the shop who sent him there because it seemed like we knew each other. I told him my name, and the guys at the shop gave him a deal. Pretty sure they say this to everyone. Lol. He sends me the bill for the damage, and it comes to $2,403. It was more than I imagined, but I said to get it done, and I'd take care of the bill afterwards, so that was that. He hung up and said it was cool, and I went on my day with my usual. I had a stroke when I read that. Another month goes by, and I don't hear anything until Brent calls me while I'm working again, and says, "Hey brother, I talked to the shop, and they said they can't get me for another 2 weeks or so, and they can't end up charging me more for if they find more damage." I say, "Okay, that sounds good. Just let me know, man. I hope it goes smooth for you, and I'm sorry for the inconvenience." He seems to take it good, and I'm really trying to just be a good person. He responds with, "Well, after I'm talking to my wife, I'm okay. If you wanted to write a check for $2,500, we can call it even." This seemed odd to me, because why the hell wouldn't someone want their vehicle repairs all paid for? I say, "Okay man, let's set a time and a place to meet, and I'll get you paid." He liked the idea and and then there's a call by telling me he will let me know. Yet another month passes by, and I hear nothing again. At this point, I'm getting fed up and just want the situation to stop being over my head. He hits me up at 11 p.m. one night and asks if we can meet in town. I found this kind of disrespectful because I was nearly asleep and had to be at work at 5 a.m. the next day. Either way, I said that it was fine and took my $2,500 cash and wrote up a quick contract saying this payment would be accepted as payment in full for the damages by accepting it. It would release me from any and all liability. This was pretty fair contract. I believe it was the deal we had already made over the phone, just in writing. I get to the place we suggested as a meetup spot. I give him the cash and he signs the contract without hardly reading it. And he didn't want the copy. This was a red flag to me because I just assumed he really didn't care about it and all that much. So I just sent him the photo of the contract to go back home for some beauty sleep. As you can guess by now, another fucking month goes by with me just living life carefree and not a worry in the world about this stupid car accident. Well, I go to check my mail and I have a notice from the guy's lawyer that he's suing me for not paying for the wrecking in his car. This pissed me off, but I also knew that I had plenty of text messages and a contract on my side. I immediately called Brent and he blocks my number. Lucky enough, my girlfriend works for a lawyer and I get him updated and he says he's love to help. He lets me know I saved my ass by writing that contract, as any contract worth over $500 is to be held up at any level in court in my state. I immediately get to work on my revenge. I remember on the side of this guy's car, he had a business logo and I took pictures of the damage. So I hop online and go to the BBB to look up who owns this company, thinking that surely he couldn't own the business because he's such an idiot. I was wrong. The guy owns the company. And I can see that he has a 12 one-star reviews and all dispute because of his shady business practices, telling people it would cost one thing and then charging them 4 times what he said he would. Sound familiar? Yes. Remember when he said the shop may charge him more than the original $2,403? That's right, he was suing me for $10,000. 4 times what the shop had told him it would cost. Unbelievable. He was trying this same sneaky shit on me. My lawyer takes note of this, I'm assuming. And we show up to court ready for war. This guy is sleazy. As we get there and all set up, he says, "You ready to give me more of Daddy's money?" with a smirk. I guess because I'm young and drive a nice truck, I could afford $2,500. Lol. His lawyer gets up and starts trying to say BS from me hitting and running, and Brent barely got a picture of my license plate, and I tried bullying him of taking a deal of only $2,500 when the damage was clearly more than that. There were obvious holes in the story, and he really didn't have much to say. Just imagine the smile on my face as my lawyer lays the printouts of our text messages and the physical copy of the contract, which was signed by Brent. His lawyer was ghostly white and looked sick. After laying out all the evidence, my lawyer pulled out a little hidden gem, the printouts of all the complaints we found on the Triple B, and how he was doing the same thing to me. This was the final nail in the coffin, as the judge said he had seen enough. He asked Brent for any final statements, and Brent says, "I don't even have the $2,500 anymore." I can just get that by then. Would that be okay? Literally admitting to the judge he had received my money, and the story was just loads of horse shit. I thought this lawyer was gonna strangle him. Damn. It was beautiful. The judge ended up ruling in my favor and demanded him to pay my legal fees as well as the damage and lost wages because I had to miss work to be in court. The absolute sweetest part in this particular day, my crew was on a very high wage job, and I was technically the one getting paid before I paid them out as subcontractors. This means I was to be paid $475 an hour. This whole ordeal took about 5 hours. He ended up paying me almost $500. I don't think I've ever been so happy in my life. Sorry it was so long. I just really felt the need to share. Thank you to anyone who made it this far. Holy shit! Big Capper 69. Wow. That was a hell of a story, dude. Oh. I got into it. Like, I seriously got into it. That was such an amazing story. And it's good that you won the case. For an accident that you caused. But this guy was trying to scam you out of all that money. Damn! Alright, next story. By Tay Cody. Manager targeted me because of my family priorities. It cost her job. This seems like a good one. I have worked in a certain home improvement store for close to a decade now. About 8 years, roughly. It was the first one in North Carolina, I guess. Before I moved up further to be with my best friend and her husband, who I learned was pregnant with my first godchild. Aw, cute. As such, I transferred to a store in the area and put my nose to the grindstone. I worked garden before I did that for some months before I started to be moved from that department to department. This store was low on staff. However, this was not full time. My old HR had dropped the ball, and this store believed I wanted part-time. Having already moved, I grabbed a part-time overnight job at a gym to make ends meet, and continued to work, all the while asking repeatedly for full-time main jobs, and never getting a definitive word back or change. Several months into this, my goddaughter was born. As I lived with my friends during the time of COVID, I spent quite a lot of time helping to raise her, and we became close. I would take time off that I was allotted to help look after her, and there was a little itsy-bitsy problem. Half a year into this change, I had made a good name for myself. I did not have a good deal of friends per se, but I was respected for my work ethic and willingness to help out anyone in any department that asked me. Enter a new assistant manager. The ASM was abrasive to staff and used to getting her way. The first I heard of her was when she outright fired a girl for working the front desk because of a Playboy tag on the jacket. Myself and several other employees organized and walked out in protest of this, and succeeded in getting the store manager to reverse the decision and made the ASM. This was not our first walkout. Having done this in the past when another ASM, the current predecessor, made sexist comments about my cashier. Damn. Soon after this, I was given a full-time operation by the operation manager, working in receiving or cantankerous supervisor, we often did not get along, especially as my grandchild got older, and I took a lot of babysitting duties on while her parents worked and slept. This was not something I minded, and I adored the child. I often talked about her with my coworkers and loved to show pictures and stories. However, this was not something I shared by my higher-ups. My supervisor was upset that I could not work overtime to help him, as we were only 2 in receiving for the store, because of either my second job or babysitting. And soon after the second walkout, I was made aware of a rumor calculating around the store that child was in fact my own daughter, and I had fathered outside my friend's husband's knowledge. The source of the rumor was unknown, but my ASM had made disparaging remarks to me in the past about men taking care of children, so I had my theories. My holiday plans, as off in advance as soon as our electronic system allowed, were canceled without explanation, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had never missed a major holiday since I moved north, and I had asked the same days off in the year prior and had gotten them off before the ASM arrived. Strike 1. Soon after this, my supervisor, whom I work closely with every day, had a positive COVID test, forcing me, per the company rules, to self-isolate until I could get a positive or negative test myself. During this week, as it took a full week to find a place with enough room to give tests thanks to McCormicron, I was harassed repeatedly by text and by phone call by both management and my supervisor to track down an at-home test and get back to work as soon as possible. All the while, I had to inform everyone I was in contact with, including my friends, family, and roommate, and that I had been exposed, risking their own holiday trips and plans. Strike 2. Thankfully, my test was negative. A week after this, the Northeast gets slammed by a snow and ice storm. I drive a 4-wheeled vehicle, and I made it in. Whatever. But near the end of my shift, I was made aware my friend's husband had been injured and stranded in a car accident on ice, and so left them home in their car to a service station. To add to it all, they have lost power to their home, with an infant, leaving me with the only person they could turn with a vehicle and power. I will admit I had a few sick hours left, but informed that I would be out on a family emergency. For that week, I called each day with an ongoing family emergency, with snow and ice still coating the streets and a power still down throughout our city. And every day I was hounded by calls from management, demanding that I return to work regardless. This would have only risked my own safety, but I would have stranded my family at my apartment with no way to get supplies or get home once power returned. Strike 3. I was done. Early the next morning, that following Saturday, I walked into work and placed my resignation letter to HR's desk. That is important later. I had tendered to be immediate as I live in an at-will state. Was it pretty? Yes. And I will freely admit that I had given 8 years of my life to this company and asked very little in return. As I was leaving, I crossed paths with my supervisor, who asked angrily if I was finally coming back to work. I informed him of my decision to leave, ignoring his provocations, and left to go home and sleep. Several hours later, I received a gift that would ignite my semi-accidental revenge. A single text from my ASM. We'll see how long you can take care of your love child without us. Well. It seems I found a probable source. My friends had been made aware of this rumor from the start. I did not hide anything from them. I did not want any kind of rumor. However, unlikely to reach them from anyone but me. They are my closest friends and compatriots, and have given me the greatest gift in the form of a godchild, whom they insist I call my niece, as I am family. Love child feels like a slur against her, and I am not cool with that, and neither are they. However, they informed me of the monumental screw-up my now former ASM had made. It was time for corporate HR to be made aware, so I began to compile my evidence. The text from my supervisor, the call records, and the message left, and this holy grail of a text message. If I was going to leave, I was at the very least going to give some blowback on the team I had been willing to target me. What happened after is secondhand from friends I still had at the store, and so I cannot entirely verify all of it, but the ASM played herself. The following day, a meeting of management and supervisors was convened, where ASM made it known that I had been fired, not self-terminated, for job abandonment and immortality. And unless I'm grossly misinformed about the nature of American retail work, immorality is not a fireable event. To my supervisor's credit, he defended me to the ASM and was fired on the spot. The store's HR rep, having earlier gotten my printed termination letter on the desk, made it known that I had indeed not been fired, but left on my own. And the ASM attempted to fire him as well, in front of the staff, and from there, it spiraled. According to my source, entire departments began to walk out or outright quit, having their own problems with the ASM. Appliances quit to a man. Garden left with their manager to work out of competitors, as he had been working on this well before my saga began. Front desk walked out in protest as it came out, as the ASM had threatened to and blackmailed several Muslim part-timers who were to not wear their headscarves if they wanted hours. Lumber, receiving Maine's partner, quit. Pro desk joined the front desk protest as their number of a skimman, I don't know what that means, had also been threatened. Cashiers, both head cashiers quit, and the other trained cashiers walked out with the desk. Operations manager had informed the district manager and quit outright before he arrived, walking out with the HR rep and my old supervisor. My source's last report of the ASM was seeing her sprinting to her car after having heard that the district staff was inbound, and the store manager was forced to shut the store down for the next 2 days, last I've heard. I've been in contact with the other injured parties, and we were compiling all the evidence we've collected, as several families are hiring lawyers. I suspect the company will attempt to keep this quiet, but I never suspected that anything like this would happen. I have a full-time position at a gym upcoming, and I've been enjoying the extra sleep and time I get with my family. I'm never working 56 to 64 hours a week ever again, and I will never darken the doorstep of that store again. I hope my ASM enjoyed the temporary rush of power. I suspect she won't get it ever again, at least not in the manager positions. Wow. Well, I have 7 tabs up, but I'm just going to read 2 as the stories were pretty long. So that's about it for this video, you guys. Before I go, I want to note for the actors of The Lion Guard Change of Heart. The lines for the next episode the lines for the next episode for Change of Heart are due Monday, January 31st. I repeat, your lines are due Monday, January 31st. So if you haven't submitted your lines already, please go ahead and do so. Anyways, that's about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. And I love you all to death, and don't forget to stay positive to the Pride Lands End. Bye.